We're following the committee vote that is to occur today on whether or not Steve Bannon, the consultant, the advisor for Donald Trump, he is the I would consider him to be the henchman behind the American version of this global right-wing reaction movement that we're seeing. And to put that into simple terms, that means all of the fascists around the world are uniting, Georgia. All of the reactionaries around the world are uniting in their opposition towards progress, towards modernity altogether. And definitely against marginalized communities, and that includes the Black community. Well, there's going to be a vote today whether or not to hold Steve Bannon in contempt as it pertains to his unwillingness to testify with regard to January 6th. I have a couple of clips that I want us to take a look at, but in context, I want you to also consider this. Former President Trump is suing. He is suing in order to block the January 6th committee and the National Archives from releasing the documents and all of the information that the committee needs to carry out the investigation. That said, I want us to take a look at this first clip to give us a little bit more information on the testimony that Steve Bannon is trying to avoid and the possibility of contempt, as well as this lawsuit that's coming from -45 Donald Trump.
And whom exactly is former President Trump suing?
So, Jake, in this filing that just crossed in the D.C. Circuit Court, the former president has filed a lawsuit against the January 6th committee and the National Archives in an effort to keep secret a whole tranche of documents that the committee is looking for in regards to their investigation as to what happened on January 6th and what potential role the former president may have played.
And so that was a clip from CNN and Jake Tapper, just kind of outlining the underlying thing that's happening here in Georgia. And so as we are trying to get progress towards better understanding what happened on January 6th, the former president, -45, is doing all he can to block it. Now, I want to give a couple of more details as it pertains to Steve Bannon. In this next clip, they break down the possibility of him being held in contempt. Let's take a listen in.
Probing the deadly January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol said on Thursday that Steve Bannon had refused to cooperate with its investigation and that it would convene on Tuesday to vote on holding the longtime Trump advisor in criminal contempt.
Bannon had been subpoenaed to testify before the January 6th Select Committee. It wasn't a surprise, though. Bannon had told the committee that under guidance from Trump, he wasn't going to show. According to the New York Times, Bannon's attorney told the committee Bannon wouldn't cooperate until such a time as you reach an agreement with President Trump on claims of executive privilege or receive a court ruling.
The committee's chairman, Democrat Benny Thompson, said in a statement, quote, "The Select Committee will not tolerate defiance of our subpoenas, so we must move forward with proceedings to refer Mr. Bannon for criminal contempt." The subpoena to Bannon is one of more than a dozen issued by the Democratic Select Committee, with some depositions scheduled as soon as this week. It was not immediately clear whether any former aides to Donald Trump would appear after the former president urged them to refuse to cooperate. 3 other close Trump allies, Mark Meadows, Dan Scavino, and Kash Patel, have received similar subpoenas, but the extent of their cooperation was unclear.
The committee will vote on contempt charges for Bannon next week. If then the House approves the charges, they'll go to the Justice Department with the recommendation the DOJ pursue a legal case against Bannon. Anyone who's found guilty for contempt of Congress is then guilty of a crime that could result in a fine and up to a year behind bars.
Now, to be certain, Georgia, even if we get as far as actually holding Steve Bannon in contempt, I doubt very seriously that he will get that maximum sentence of a year behind bars. But they are playing a game of chicken with this committee because they understand the culpability that not only Donald Trump has, but I would argue the entire Republican Party has with the terrorist attack on January 6th.
Yeah. Well, and there's always the parallels, the misuse of power. Here you have individuals, even looking at Trump, who, had the highest seat in this nation. and he absolutely misused his power. And now
Yeah.
what we're seeing here with this investigation, and people who are trying to avoid coming forward with information, and ultimately what they're trying to reveal here is who organized this.
Right.
This wasn't just something that everybody just showed up just sporadically at the same time.
Hmm.
There was organized communication that
That's right.
happened for these individuals to show up on January 6th, and trying to figure out who sent the orders, who gave them those marching orders to go storm the Capitol. That, I think, right now is really what this investigation is about. But what we're
That's right.
seeing is everybody is trying to avoid accountability.
Mm.
Everybody's trying to sweep this under the rug and minimize this. I saw on my timeline over the last week a few mentors or former bosses who attended the Million Man March, and
Mm.
they showed just a sea of Black men on the steps of the Capitol, but nobody stormed it.
Hmm.
Not one
Come on.
person caused any damage. More than 1 million people. It's the largest gathering in DC history. And here we are looking at all of these individuals who I absolutely believe received direct orders from Trump or someone in his administration to do what they did on January 6th.
Oh, absolutely, without question. And I want to urge people to understand that this doesn't happen without a serious level of organization. They are organized. They are organized. They have their private communications. They have their encrypted signal chats. They are organizing as furiously to stop progress as I would hope we are organizing on our side to forward progress. But there's some questions there because, they have funding for this. January 6th doesn't happen, Georgia, without major funding. And I think this is also what they're trying to block, that information from being released. You also have culpability across the board. You have little Charlie Kirk, as our friend, Brother Mac refers to him, sponsored 80 buses. Turning Points USA. It is a major organization that's all the way around the country, founded by Charlie Kirk. 80 buses. So there's money, there's a money trail, there's culpability, and I think it's going to come all the way from the top. You're right, Donald Trump, all the way down to the rank and file people who have already been arrested.